Hello, everyone. Ken Tumolo with Tumolo Financial, and welcome to our Tumolo Talk again. Today's topic, I'm going to talk about taxes. I know that's not the funnest topic to talk about. I enjoy it just because I enjoy working with numbers, and it can get really interesting because one of the things that I've been able to expose is depending on how you draw accounts and when to take Social Security, it can actually drive how much you pay in taxes. And it's an area that not everyone spends time figuring out. But for example, I was able to make it where a client almost paid no money in taxes each year by starting Social Security and drawing money from an IRA account. So it really comes down to how it goes together. It depends on your lifestyle, but it is actually a fun topic for me. Maybe not that interesting for you or for everyone out there, but it is actually I enjoy it. So let me just bring up a little quick presentation. This way we can follow along. And some of the things in this presentation, because it's taxes, there are some charts, and you don't have to pay a lot of attention to the charts. Just there for illustration purposes so that you can actually see, okay, well, where's Ken going to get some of this information? So a lot of times I call it tax planning, some of the concerns, or I should say with concerns. But one of the big things that we run into in retirement is some of the things that you do, some of the places that you draw from can actually create different problems in different areas. A lot of times it's taxes. Sometimes it could be Medicare premiums. Let's say you draw a little bit too much out of those IRA accounts, 401k accounts during retirement. And a lot of people don't know, but if you draw too much, all of a sudden your Medicare premiums go up. So things to be careful of, and a lot of times when we're trying to figure out strategies to recommend, we're looking at some of the problems that are caused by doing certain things. So we want to account for everything that we can and also make the best recommendation from there. What we will run into in this chart that's up on the screen right now really is they call it the required minimum distribution chart. Now, some companies out there will actually call it minimum required distribution. So they flip the first two words, but really what it is when you reach age 72, you're required to take money out of those retirement accounts and pay the taxes. Now, a big thing that I'll point out is if you miss it, it's a compounding problem, because what they'll do is you're penalized 50%, you still have to take the money out, and you still have to pay taxes on it. So it just becomes a mess. So you don't want to miss your required minimum distribution at age 72, and it goes on every year from 72 on. Now, I know, and I've gotten the question a few times already, the House has passed a law raising the age. Well, it's not completely passed. It's a law that actually has to go through the Senate and then signed off by the president. So we don't know if it's going to happen. So for now, what we want to say is age 72 is the age where you're going to start taking those required minimum distributions. Another thing that I will add is some of the companies out there, the majority of them, will usually send you a letter beginning of the year to remind you it's time to take it. But at the end of the day, the way the rule reads with the IRS, it's on you, meaning you have to remember to draw that money out. You can't blame anyone else. And yes, is there a way if you miss it, can you ask for forgiveness? Yes, you can write a letter to the IRS, but that's not a given. You might just still end up having to pay that penalty because that's what the rule is. So I guess you can argue your case, hope that they find in your favor if you were to miss something like this. Another thing to point out, capital gains, mutual funds, anything outside of retirement, you do not have to take a required minimum distribution. But the thing is when we're doing the planning, and I always like to plan out a long period of time, we have to take into account the money you're forced to draw when you reach 72, and then also any other potential taxes that you'll have in your picture so that you have a good idea what everything does to you. There's so many moving pieces in retirement. That's why I said earlier, it's fun for me to look at all these numbers. Maybe not for you. For some of you, yes. So this here, and don't try to read all of this. The big thing I want to point out is there's different tables out there on taxes. There's the married filing jointly table, for an example, and the single filers. But the big problem that we run into, a married couple has a little bit more of an advantage in retirement than a single person. the tax rates. For an example, to start falling in the 24% tax bracket, a married couple could be between $178,000 and $340,000 of income. But let's say you're single. Your disadvantage is your 24% tax bracket starts at $89,000. Basically, it's half of what it starts at for a married couple. And when you start to do the math on that and you're building plans for someone, it's something big to consider. How much am I paying in taxes? How can I reduce it? What can I do to make this better for myself? Do I really have to pay the IRS and the state this much in taxes? So we're always looking for strategies to build into the plan to try to reduce what you need to pay to the IRS or to the state. And a lot of times it comes down to how you draw in retirement. I mentioned in a previous Tumolo talk about just different tax brackets, especially on Social Security. But just to give you an idea, there's different tax categories. And how I want you to think about this is you're averaging different tax rates together to get a lower rate. So you're averaging down your higher rates. But remember, one thing that we're worried about is when you reach age 72, if you're someone that has to pull out a certain amount and it's more than you need for your lifestyle, you'll lose control of taxes and these strategies don't work. So if you're under 72, but looking at the plan, you're going to have a problem at age 72 with taxes. Sometimes what we do is we do things ahead of time to try to get ahead of it. So you're better off getting ahead of a problem than waiting until it happens, especially in the tax world, because you start to make it where there's less and less things that are available to you to give you an advantage. So the way I want you to think about this, and I just put 4 things up. Social Security. Social Security is taxed by what they call provisional income. So you pay a little bit less on your Social Security income than you would pay possibly on a 401k. Because a 401k or an IRA, you pay your full tax rate on all the money that you draw. So let's say you're drawing money out and you're in the 24% tax bracket. Well, your 401k, you're going to be taxed at 24%. And remember, our tax rates are every bit is taxed at a different amount. So we're just going to make an assumption and call it the 24% rate. But think of it this way. If you are solidly in the 24% tax bracket, what you're drawing out of the 401ks, IRAs is 24%. Roth accounts, you don't pay anything, so you pay 0 taxes. And then TOD or brokerage account, basically anything non-retirement. I shouldn't say anything because there are some things that are taxed differently that's non-retirement, such as some of the annuity stuff, but we'll just brokerage account, we'll keep it to that. You've got a Charles Schwab account that's not a retirement account. You're going to pay taxes on capital gains anywhere from 0 to 20%, dividends anywhere from 0 to 20%. So it's all income driven. But what I want you to view is we've got probably the highest tax area being the 401k and the lowest tax area being the Roth at 0. And then the TOD accounts and the Social Security accounts fall somewhere in between. But what you're doing is taking a bunch of lower tax rates, okay, and averaging them against a higher tax rate to bring your overall tax rate down, okay? Now, if we can keep that overall tax rate down over a long period of time, you actually save money in taxes because you're paying in a lower tax bracket all the way through instead of taking a big amount and paying in a higher tax bracket. So that's where the fun is. Let me just give you a quick example of how I do it. And this is going to be a little bit hard to see because it has a lot of information on it. Don't worry about all the numbers on it. But this is the retirement checkup that I run. And even when I'm talking to people, I always only point out a few areas here. But to keep it simple for today, usually it's column 11, approximate income tax. I can tell based on how we draw your money. So this whole left side of here is basically all of your accounts and different types of accounts, along with Social Security and possibly a pension coming in. So they all fall under different tax rates. But I actually have a column that I build in here that will actually show what you're going to pay estimated on taxes based on how you draw this money. So we can mess around with drawing different areas a little bit differently. And sometimes when we do that, it actually creates more taxes for you, or it creates less taxes for you. So there's some in between that we figure out where, hey, if you draw your accounts this way, and start your Social Security at this point, then it's actually keeping your taxes down by doing this. Whereas if we do it this way, look at what it causes. This also gives me the ability to show you if you have a future problem. Let's say at age 72, you have to take a whole bunch of money out of those retirement accounts because, well, the IRS says so. That'll drive your tax rate right up. And if tax rates go up over time, it'll really compound the problem. So we like to always look out over a long period of time, take all the information that we have today on you, and it's really about numbers. How do these numbers go together to give you an advantage, especially in that tax area? This report shows me so much more, but we'll just talk about taxes today. You want to pay the minimum amount of taxes. I don't know anyone that wants to pay more in taxes. If you do, then we don't even want to do this for you. But if you want to pay the least amount in taxes, then we want to look at your situation and help recommend a way that will give you an advantage where you pay less in taxes. So this is the fun part. This is where I have all my fun. Complimentary phone call. How we can help, I should say. If you just have a question, it could just be about drawing in retirement. It could be about Social Security, how something is taxed. Just give us a call. We have no problem answering questions. We don't charge to answer questions. We're here to help. If you need a Tumolo Financial Retirement Checkup to take a look at your picture and give you an idea what you're going to be up against in retirement. Did you save enough for retirement? Are there any tax strategies in your picture? We could even run one of those for you. Again, additional Tumolo Talk videos are coming out. Area where I can ask you to help me, and I know I asked it in the past, but if there's any topics that you'd like me to talk about in a future Tumolo Talk, email me, give me that topic, and maybe it'll be one that I choose to talk about in the Tumolo Talk. My email, just so you know, is ktumolo, so K, my last name, Tumollo, at tumolofinancial.com. Thank you.